So are their running mates. The stunning new poll tonight, the race now dead heat. 63 days to go, Donald Trump with the edge. Hillary Clinton, Tim Kaine, nothing off limits, taking aim at Trump, saying he choked when it mattered most. Clinton tonight on her stamina. And is she ready for that first and crucial debate?
The debate is 20 days away, the first one.
So I hear.
Are you nervous?
Also tonight, Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Trump firing back at Clinton on claims he choked. And what he now says about undocumented immigrants. Is he opening a new door? And Trump on Clinton not looking presidential.
What do you mean by that?
And Donald Trump's new promise right here tonight. What he now says he'll reveal. Also tonight, the bombshell settlement, $20 million for Gretchen Carlson, and now the stunning apology from Fox. And breaking news in a cold case that shook parents across this country. The 11-year-old boy kidnapped. And tonight, the confession.
From ABC News, this is a special edition of ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you back with us after Labor Day. And we begin tonight with an ABC News exclusive. 63 days to go until Election Day, the most critical phase begins. And both presidential tickets are right here tonight. It's been a race through the battlegrounds these last 24 hours, and we were right there with them all. Nothing off the table. With the first presidential debate just 20 days away, both sides already debating right here tonight, firing back at each other. And it all comes with a new poll tonight among likely voters showing a dead heat. Donald Trump with a slight lead within the margin of error. And so we begin with Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine, well aware this race is tighter than ever. And is she ready for that first debate?
We sit here in Ohio, key battleground, and we've seen the ads in these battleground states. They start with, "I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message." And the rest of the ad is entirely about Donald Trump. Are you making this about Donald Trump?
No, David, I think that if you've seen all of our ads, we have a lot of very positive ads. We have an ad running about my vision for jobs, something Tim and I care a lot about. The best I can tell is Donald Trump is for building a big wall, which we now know after his unfortunate trip to Mexico. The Mexicans have said they're not paying for it.
You talk about the trip to Mexico.
Yes.
Donald Trump said they did not discuss who would pay for that wall. The Mexican president afterwards said they did discuss it and that Mexico would not pay for it. Your campaign said, quote, "It turns out Trump didn't just choke, he got beat in the room and lied about it."
Yeah.
Is that what you believe?
Well, that's what it sounded like, because what happened is what we call a diplomatic incident, because he came out saying one thing and the Mexican president contradicted him almost immediately. So it is clear that he went down with a mission. It's been the mission of his whole campaign from the very first day to demonize immigrants, to call Mexicans rapists and criminals, to do everything he could to stir up all kinds of bad feelings about hardworking people. And he didn't raise it, so he did choke.
The Mexican president has invited you. Will you travel to Mexico before Election Day?
David, I have met with the president. My campaign team, my top national security advisors are in contact with not only his staff and ambassador. I'm going to continue to focus on what we're doing to create jobs here at home.
So no trip before Election Day?
No.
On those trips, Donald Trump tweeted, "Hillary Clinton didn't go to Louisiana. She didn't go to Mexico. She doesn't have the drive or stamina to make America great again." He goes on to say, "Does she look presidential, fellas? Give me a break."
Well, can I just, does she look presidential, fellas? That's an idiotic comment from Donald Trump. I got added to this ticket about 11, 12 weeks, 100 days from the election. This great public servant has been on the field for 17 or 18 months. It's hard to keep up with her. And look, and Hillary Clinton has been willing to share with the American public all the information about her health in a way that Donald Trump won't.
We now have the doctor who signed his letter basically saying he did it in 5 minutes because the, quote, limousine was waiting. It is devoid of information.
You don't think his doctor is credible?
I'm just telling you what he had said. I don't know anything about the gentleman. And look, it's what Tim said. I've released 40 plus years of tax returns. He hasn't released any. I think that's a big question mark that people need to ask themselves. Why wouldn't he?
Let me ask you about your emails.
Yes.
It was a year ago, Secretary Clinton, you sat across from me, and you said not only was it a mistake,
Right.
but that you were sorry.
Right.
A year later, we sit together again.
Yes.
And the issue hasn't gone away. The FBI just released documents on its own investigation into your emails. In the report, you told FBI investigators that you were either unaware or misunderstood some of the classification procedures. We also read about an aide who got rid of old BlackBerries, is using a hammer, taking a hammer to a BlackBerry. When Americans hear that, do you think that feeds into what the FBI director said when he said about you, that you were extremely careless with your emails?
Well, I hope not, because I take classification very seriously. And what I want people to understand is really two things. I take responsibility. I have learned that trying to explain what happened made it sound to some people like I was trying to excuse it. There are no excuses. I take responsibility. I made a mistake. I've apologized. And obviously, I wish I could do differently what happened. I certainly would never do that again. With respect to classification, on classified documents, there is what's called a header. It says this material is top secret, secret, or confidential. There were no headers on the thousands of emails that I sent or received. There just weren't, and the FBI has not in any way contradicted that. There were a couple of emails with a tiny c in a parentheses, which did not have a header saying that means confidential in this circumstance, and which the director of the FBI has said, and the State Department has said, those couple of emails were improperly marked even with that. So yes, I take classification seriously, and I think the record shows that I have.
But authorities say that C stood for confidential.
There was no header that the document that the little c appeared in was marked confidential, which is the lowest form of classification.
So what you're saying is deeper in the email.
Oh, of course, absolutely. And that's what the director said.
The director also, though, said you were extremely careless. Do you agree with him?
Well, I respectfully disagreed.
Senator Kaine, let me ask you, though, what would you say to American voters who have heard Secretary Clinton apologize sitting across from me a year ago and her explanation here today, but who still find her untrustworthy?
I know Hillary Clinton, and I know I can count on her as our next president. I have a son in the military who is deployed overseas right now. I care very, very deeply about who the next commander-in-chief is. I completely count and trust Hillary Clinton to be a great commander-in-chief and to make the right decisions for the country. And the prospect of Donald Trump making those decisions about the life of my kid and millions of people who serve scares me to death.
The debate is 20 days away, the first one.
So I hear.
Are you nervous?
Well, I am certainly focused because, Donald Trump announces he won every debate in the Republican primary. I take that very seriously.
Donald Trump has said about you and the debates, I know how to handle Hillary. Do you know how to handle Trump?
Well, we'll see, won't we, on September 26th?
The debate will be crucial. Both sides know it. And how is Donald Trump preparing? We met up with him a little more than an hour away from Secretary Clinton, and he was quick to react to what Mrs. Clinton had just told us about him. Donald Trump and Mike Pence right there in the must-win state of Ohio as well. We sit here in the great battleground state of Ohio, 63 days to go. How badly do you need to win Ohio to win that White House?
Well, we're up in Ohio, and you see the kind of crowds we're having in Ohio, and I think we're going to win it, and certainly I think it would be very important to win Ohio.
People have said Republicans do not win the White House without Ohio.
Well, I've heard that, and certainly we intend to win Ohio. We should win Ohio.
20 days until the first big debate.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
You never know, but I think so.
Are you
I do
prepping?
think so. Yeah, sure. I'm prepping, and maybe not in the traditional way. When I had the debates, I had 11 debates with as you know, in the primaries, and I was very satisfied. Everybody else was very satisfied with the way I did, and I think I'm working the same way I did there.
But this will be a lot different. I mean, there'll be two candidates on that stage. It won't be, the list that was there during the primary.
Well, we started off with 17, and in the end, we had just a few left, so it's not that much different.
Any mock debates?
Haven't thought about it much. It could happen, but haven't really given it much thought.
Let me ask you, Mr. Trump, you just traveled to Mexico. Hillary Clinton, who's also here in Ohio, as you know, told us a short time ago that you choked, that the idea of Mexico paying for this wall has been central to your campaign. Did you choke?
So let me just tell you about joking. I don't joke. She jokes. Look at the deal she's made. She's responsible for so many bad things that have happened to our country, including the signing by her husband of NAFTA, which has drained our country of its jobs. I've been given A+, including by you people, but I've been given A+ for the job I did in Mexico. And the fact is, Mexico will pay for the wall. It was discussed that it wouldn't be discussed, but they know my stance, and I know their stance.
Did the Mexican president break his word in talking about it?
And we had ground rules, and that's okay. See who wins in the end. We'll win. 100%. They're going to pay for the wall.
And let me just ask you about what one of your top surrogates said in the last 24 hours. Rudy Giuliani said that Donald Trump would, quote, find it very difficult to throw a family that's been here in the United States for 15 years with kids who are now American citizens out of this country, that is not the America that Donald Trump wants. So will some of these families be allowed to stay?
First of all, he's 100% right. That's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to do. What we're going to do is we're going to build a tremendously strong and powerful border. People are going to come in, but they're going to come in legally. We're going to get rid of all of the bads, the gang members, the drug lords, and all of the different people that are here and that shouldn't be here. We're going to clean things up. Once we have a secure border, totally secure, we're going to take a look at the people that you're talking about.
Does that mean some of those 11 million undocumented immigrants will be allowed to stay?
It could be, but what's going to happen is if you're going to be a citizen, you're going to have to leave and you're going to have to come in.
And if they don't want to become a citizen?
Then we'll have to make a determination what happens when the border is secure.
So you're open to them staying here undocumented?
I'm going to make a decision, or somebody will, whether it's me or somebody else, because perhaps, depending on the time, by that time we'll have a secure border, we'll have a wall, we will have stopped the drugs pouring into the country.
But David, let me also say, it's very appropriate to have lots of interest in what a President Donald Trump will do on illegal immigration. Donald Trump put the issue of illegal immigration at the center of the national debate. But what I'd also like to see, and I think millions of Americans would like to see, is more clarity about Hillary Clinton's plan.
Governor Pence, you're making news this week in revealing that you'll release your tax returns.
Sure.
And
Be a pretty quick read.
Pretty quick read. I'm curious, do you think the American voter has the right to see the tax returns of Donald Trump before they vote on Election Day?
You know, I'm very pleased to provide our tax returns. You're going to find out my family's a middle-class family, and that there'll be pretty clear evidence that we haven't profited from our 16 years in and around public life, as some others have.
Governor, I'm asking about Donald Trump and every presidential candidate going back 40 years.
I'm releasing my tax returns. Donald Trump will release his tax returns. I'll give mine to you all this week, and he's going to provide his after a routine audit is done.
As far as my taxes are concerned, the only one that cares is the press, I will tell you. And even the press, I tell you, it's not a big deal.
You don't think there are any voters out there who...
I don't think so, no. I think people don't care. I released the most extensive financial review of anybody in the history of politics. It's either 100 or maybe more pages of names of companies, locations of companies, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a very impressive list, and everybody says that. But I've released a massive list, far more than you get. You don't learn much in a tax return.
Tax returns do reveal how much someone's paid in taxes and how much they've given in charitable giving.
Well, that's okay, but I've given a list on, things that I've given to charity. I have given that list.
But you won't reveal what you've paid in taxes unless the audit is done.
When the audit is done, I will release.
What's the most important issue that they talk to you about?
Jobs. Most important jobs.
Trump says he will be back to Ohio often, and often citing his opponent's stamina.
Let me ask, you've often talked about Hillary Clinton's stamina.
Right.
You've even said she doesn't look presidential.
I really do believe that.
Well,
yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I just don't think she has a presidential look. And you need a presidential look. You have to get the job done. I think if she went to Mexico, she would have had a total failure. We had a big success.
But when you talk about her not looking presidential, are you talking about aesthetics here?
I'm talking about general. Hey, by the way, she says things about me that are horrible. As an example, the single greatest asset I have, according to those that know me, is my temperament. But she came up with this Madison Avenue line, oh, let's talk about his temperament. It's the single greatest asset I have is my temperament.
You're 70, she's 68. Do you think the American people deserve to know more about both of you in your medical histories?
Sure, I do. But I would love to give specifics as far as I'm concerned. And if she wants to do it, I'll do it 100%.
Why not go first?
I might do that. I might do that. In fact, now that you ask, I think I will do that.
You will?
Yeah.
What will your temperament be on that debate stage 20 days from now?
I can't tell you because I'm not sure that I know. It'll depend. I mean, you're going to have to adjust. You're going to have to see. I mean, you need flexibility. In life, David, you need flexibility. It may be very nice and it may be very respectful and it may not. Depends on how she treats me.
You heard Donald Trump there promise he will release more of his medical history. We did reach out to his campaign late today, and they told us, quote, they will keep us posted on the timing. We have posted our full exclusive interviews with both presidential tickets at abcnews.com and much more tonight on Nightline. And of course, we want to hear from you at home tonight on the World News Tonight Facebook page, and you can reach out to me on Twitter. In the meantime, there is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Tuesday. The other news this evening, the bombshell settlement, $20 million for Gretchen Carlson, and the stunning public apology that came with it. We have late reporting this evening. Also breaking developments tonight in a cold case that frightened parents across this country. The 11-year-old boy kidnapped and killed, and now the confession tonight. And the growing outrage this evening over an American treasure ruined. The alleged vandals caught on camera, and now authorities